Star Raven Studios presents the following program, Belongs to the Shadows, with your creepy host, Jaime Bennett. Viewer, listener discretion is strongly advised. Hello, and welcome to another podcast episode of Belongs to the Shadows. I'm your creepy host, Jaime Bennett. I thought that I would talk about the story that has been going around on the internet, the creepy origins or the dark origins of the real life Scooby-Doo. So speculation has been going around that there was a real life Scooby-Doo and a group of teenagers that did detective work. Mystery Inc. So there's that. They were called the Dober Scoober gang. I believe the Dober Scoober gang. See, I told you I'm infamous for mispronouncing things. But anyhow, as always, viewer listener discretion is strongly advised. I'm a huge fan of Scooby-Doo. I have been a huge fan of Scooby-Doo for a very, very long time. Yeah. I am a child of the 80s. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I don't care. I don't care if you all know my age. I have said my age before on this lovely podcast and show. So I really don't care. I'm like a big kid. I am like a big kid, and that's why I do these podcasts, because I really enjoy researching things, and I really enjoy researching things like this. So yeah, it has been going around on the internet, the dark origins of Scooby-Doo, and that Scooby-Doo was based on a real life group of teenagers and a dog that can understand people speaking to the dog, could understand English. So that would be awesome. I think that my dog understands me. So, and she is not a Great Dane, but she's a big wonker of a dog. She's a German short-haired pointer. So, I could start my own mystery Inc. with my dog. My faithful Penelope. Of course, she'd be more about the snacks than she would be about solving mysteries. Anyhow, I am a huge fan of Scooby-Doo, like I said, and when this came across the internet and I watched the YouTube video of it, which I will give credit where credit is due. I don't always put every website down below, because some of them go nowhere. You'll click on the link and it goes nowhere. It goes out to space and there's nothing there. But I will give credit where credit is due, and I will put the link to numerous videos about this very topic. Also, SpongeBob SquarePants. Dark origins to SpongeBob SquarePants has been going around the internet. I will talk about that one probably next week. And then they have a Peter Pan one. It sounds to me like a lot of creepypasta stories are going on here. But it's always fun to research it, and it's always fun to investigate. So let's see what we can find here. Like usual, I find my stuff on the good old internet, and I look at it while I am doing this podcast. So I don't really do the research beforehand, only a little bit. And I will put the links down below to all of these links, lovely links, all the research that I've done. And if I come across anything interesting, I will definitely put that down below as well. There are several podcasters who have talked about this very thing that I'm talking about. So I know that it's not new, because how else would I have found out about it? Because it's going across the internet. I just thought it would be interesting to do my take on it. What I'm about to tell you all comes from the Daily Snatches of Life. So dailysnatchesoflife.blogspot.com, and The Dark Origins of Scooby-Doo and Beyond. So this was posted by Eric Pytar on December 19th of 2025. So that tells you that I guess it's been going around the internet for a while. The internet, the Google, the Instagram. You can tell my age because we always put the in front of it. Anyhow, I'm not ancient. I'm not ancient. I can tell you that. I am not ancient. I'm still kinda with the times. Not completely, but kinda. Uh, anyhow, uh, like I said, it comes from the Daily Snatches of Life, and it's a blog spot. And this was posted by Eric Pytar on December 19th of 2025. So this is his words, his research, and we're gonna give credit where credit is due. So this is Scooby-Doo, and it's titled Beyond the Cartoon We Loved. So Scooby-Doo was a masterpiece of the 90s and early 2000s. It defined our childhood for many of us anyways. It was the perfect mix of laughter and late night chills. So we all remember the Mystery Machine. At least I hope so. The meddling kids and Scooby's iconic laugh. But what if I were to tell you that behind the colorful animation lies a story much darker than any guy in a mask or a villain? As they say, there's no smoke without fire. So while we enjoyed the adventures of Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby, in our pajamas nonetheless, eating a bowl of cereal, more than likely, a chilling theory suggests the show was inspired by a tragic series of events from the 1960s. So the legend goes that the Dober Scoobers, that's the name of the group of teenagers, supposedly. And according to an investigation featured in the video below, which they have a video below, there's numerous different people giving you their take on this. So there's numerous videos out there floating around. I'm sure you can find one of them. Like I said, it came across my Instagram feed as well as my Facebook feed. That's how I get the idea for a lot of my Belongs to the Shadows. That or friends will tell me their experiences. Or I'm from Southern Illinois, so Bigfoot is a big thing in Southern Illinois, as well as Georgia, apparently. Anyhow, so according to an investigation featured in several videos, the real life inspiration for the show dates back to the year of 1961 in Ohio. A group known as the Dober Scoobers allegedly traveled across the state solving cold cases. The team consisted of 4 teenagers and a massive Great Dane, surprise, surprise, named Jasper, who is said to have an uncanny ability to understand human speech. Dogs can understand how you say things. They can understand fluctuation in your vocal cords, but that's for another show and another time. I used to be a vet tech student, and I used to work in a veterinary office, so yeah, another story for another time. Anyhow, the story takes a terrifying turn in the year of 1964 in the month of October. While investigating disappearances at a shut-down amusement park in a small town called Amber Falls, that sounds scary in itself, the group met a tragic fate. Only 2 members were found alive. The others were discovered days later in an underground tunnel, uninjured, but with their faces frozen in a state of pure terror. Years later, in 1972, a hiker supposedly captured a photo of a creature in those same woods. A tall, upright figure with the head of a dog That's creepy. Nearby, a torn blue collar was found with a tag bearing the letters SD. Did you know that Scooby Doo's actual name is Scoobert? Scoobert. Yes, Scoobert Doo. A legacy shrouded in mystery. In a shocking and terrifying twist, the Scooby-Doo story we know as a family-friendly cartoon might just be a sanitized version of a very real tragedy. While we cheered for the gang and laughed at Scooby's antics, the shadow of Amber Falls reminds us that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Okay, so, um, I could believe something like that happened. I mean, a lot of things are based on like dark things. I mean, just look at some of our fairy tales that we've been told as children. Look at some of the Disney movies. Like the original story of the Disney movies, like some of them, is very dark and creepy. Like, hello. I mean, Snow White, she lives in a house of like old men, basically, who work in a mine. That's kind of creepy. And she's, treating them like her children and taking care of them and all of that. Like, that's kind of creepy. Like, if you were to look at some of the fairy tales that, we grew up watching in Disney film form or reading in books or were told as bedtime stories, as an adult, if you go back and read some of those stories or really think about it, they're kind of creepy and dark. Like Peter and the Wolf, um, Hansel and Gretel. That one's very dark. Hansel and Gretel is extremely dark. Jack and Jill. That's just to name a few. And I have done, a Belongs to the Shadows on fairy tales because they are dark. If you go back and read them, they're very dark. But anyways, I digress. I always get off on a tangent on these shows. Anyhow, so the Scooby-Doo gang was actually based on a television show. I did see that in my research. So I'm going to look it up. I know that like when it was taken to Hanna-Barbera, Hanna-Barbera, uh, it was said that it was based on a TV show, like the teenagers from a TV show. If I can find it again. Yeah, here we go. The Origin of Scooby-Doo. And this is cartoonresearch.com, The Origin of Scooby-Doo. And let me see if I can find an author. It was posted by Jim Corcus on May 1st of 2020. So, producer Joe Barbera had told the person who who was doing the interview and who had done this article, I guess, that it's been my experience that it's almost always the original characters like Yogi, Huck, and Scooby-Doo who rise to the level of perennial superstar. So, the creation of an animated character is often a collaborative process that takes place over a period of time. While we have all accepted the stories about the birth of Scooby-Doo, there are still some things left to be discovered. Scooby-Doo was probably the first major cartoon star to come from television and has had a decades-long career in a number of different series, as well as films. and even helping spawn the creation of a new television animation studio. Scooby has appeared in a number of comic book titles, toys, children's books, and records. A costume character version of Scooby has appeared in theme parks. So in 1968, on Saturday mornings, the home for cartoon shows was in trouble. For several years, the networks had done well in the ratings, with such action shows like Space Ghost, Superman, and the Herculoids, to name a few. The trouble was parent groups The trouble was that parent groups were getting upset about the violence on television that they associated with the superhero type cartoon shows. Soon the networks were switching over to softer shows that toned down even physical slapstick. None none gamered the same ratings and attention as the early shows. So when the Archie show debuted on CBS in the year of 1968 in the month of September, the musical antics of the characters from the popular comic book series were immediately popular. CBS head of children's programming, Fred Silverman, decided that success could be duplicated duplicated with teenagers who solved mysteries, like the old radio series I Love a Mystery, and like Archie's gang were part-time musicians. Dun, 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 dun. So Scooby was born. Writers Joe Ruby and Ken Spears from Hanna-Barbera came up with the idea of a group of teenagers traveling the country solving supernatural mysteries. It was the success of this series that led to them opening their own studio, which is awesome. I love Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo so much. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Absolutely love Scooby-Doo. So much so that when I was a radio DJ, I'm getting off on a tangent. I was a radio DJ, and for like a week straight, I played various different versions of this Scooby-Doo theme song, and that's how I would introduce my show, The Jam Session. I would introduce my show, The Jam Session, with the Scooby-Doo theme song played in various different fashions. So much so that like my boss was like, Jamie, I know that you love Scooby-Doo, but please give it a break. He wasn't mad about it or anything, and I didn't get in trouble, but it's kind of a funny story. Anyhow, Joe Barbera and William Hanna pitched the show as Mysteries 5. It featured 5 teens, Geoff, Mike, Kelly, Linda, and Linda's brother WW, and their dog, since Silverman liked dog characters. Too much, who were all in a band called the Mysteries 5. The dog played the bongos in the band. When the teenagers weren't performing at gigs, they were out solving spooky mysteries involving actual ghosts, zombies, and other supernatural creatures. The challenge was not to make the dog too much, like the sheepdog, Hot Dog, who appeared on the Archie show. At first, it was discussed to make it a large, cowardly dog, and then perhaps a small, feisty dog that was too courageous for its small size. With input from Barbera, it was determined to make the dog a Great Dane. Ruby and Spears were initially fearful that it might be too similar to the comic strip character Marmaduke. Character artist, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Takamoto. Hopefully I said that right. Lau Takamoto consulted a studio colleague who happened to be a breeder of Great Danes. The presentation was full of haunted houses, monsters, and eerie locales. Silverman planned to use the show as the centerpiece for the new fall Saturday morning schedule. When it was presented to the network, brass, CBS president Frank Stanton said, "We can't put that on the air. That's just too frightening." Silverman was now without a centerpiece show for the new season. He told an interviewer, "I had always thought that kids in a haunted house would be a big hit. As a kid, I would go and look at Abbott and Costello's Meet Frankenstein," which, if any of you know me, I am a huge fan of Frankenstein. And I have appeared on my friend's show, Big Monster Briefing Room, numerous times as the Franken expert. I'll put a link down below to one of those episodes of his show so y'all can check it out on Cosmos Creative Television. I'm giving a plug there. Anyhow, in movies like that, I was convinced that was going to be the biggest hit that we'd ever had, even though nobody knew what the hell it was. Oh no, I gotta put a quarter in the swear jar. I said a curse word. If I were to put a quarter in the swear jar every single time I cussed, then I'd probably be rich. I try really hard not to cuss on here. Like, I really, really try not to cuss on here. 'Cause I never know. I never know if, who's in the room. That's why I do the viewer listener discretion is strongly advised. So yeah. Yep. Where did I leave off at? I'm trying to find my place. That's sad. Okay, here we are. I left off at the swear word. What the hell it was. Anyhow, Silverman had Ruby and Spears rework the show to make it more comedic and less frightening. Silverman said in a matter of 2 hours, they had revised this concept and it worked great. They dropped the rock band element. Geoff and Mike were merged into one character called Ronnie, later renamed Fred at Silverman's request. Kelly was renamed to Daphne. Linda was now called Velma, who happens to be one of my favorite characters. And Shaggy, formerly WW, was no longer her brother. Also, Silverman, not being very fond of the name Mysteries 5, had rechristened the show Who's Scared. There is an urban legend that the characters were each crafted to represent different prestigious East Coast colleagues, but that wasn't the case. Silverman was a fan of the television series The Many Loves of Dobby Gillis and insisted the characters be personality or be personality doppelgangers. Personality doppelgangers. There we go. I told you. I mispronounce things sometimes. It is what happens. Which is one of the reasons why Silverman is sometimes credited with the creation of the series. Writer Mark Evener, who would write Scooby-Doo teleplays and comic book scripts, identified each of the 4 teenagers with their corresponding Dobby Gillis character. Fred was based on Dobby, Velma was based on Zelda, Daphne on Talia, and Shaggy on Maynard. For the dog's name, Silverman, as well as Ruby and Spears, for years claimed that the ad-lib dooby-dooby-doo Silverman heard at the end of Frank Sinatra's interpretation of Burt Campert's song Strangers in the Night on the way out to one of their meetings was the source for Scooby's name. Evener asserts that it was actually another hit record, Denise, from 1963, a doo-wop classic by Randy and the Rainbows that still turns up incessantly on oldies stations. Randy and the Rainbows sang Scooby-Doo over and over, whereas Old Blue Eyes kept putting that doobie in there. The network bought the show when it was revised to make the dog funnier and the star. It was now considered more of a comedy than a frightening mystery. And it was renamed to reflect that the dog was the star. Dog deserves to be the star. Thank you. Thank you very much. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Debuted in the fall of 1969 and became an instant hit. The combination of humor and mystery proved equally enjoyable to a young audience as it did an older demographic. There were scary monsters, all shown to be people in costume during the first season and not supernatural. Funny characters, silly gags, and real clues to solve the mystery. The format was so popular that studios, including Hanna-Barbera, tried to recycle it many times over the years in other series like Goober and the Ghost, Chasers, Clue Club, Butch Cassidy and the Buford Files. However, the iconic and beloved format and characters almost didn't make it onto television at all until it was all radically changed thanks to Fred Silverman. Thank you, Fred Silverman. I love Scooby-Doo. Like I said, huge fan. Huge fan. My childhood would not have been complete without Scooby-Doo, and one of my favorite characters. I think that's why I like big dogs, big clumpy lumbering jack dogs. I have a American, well, it's American. I don't know why I was saying American. Rewind. Let my brain catch up with my tongue here for a minute. It's been a day, people. It has been a day. I have a German. Good gosh. How did I get American from that? German short-haired pointer named Penelope. And I absolutely adore her. I could totally see her being part of a mystery gang and solving mysteries. But I think she would be more interested in the snacks than solving mysteries. That dog loves snacks. She absolutely adores snacks. If you don't give her her snack every day, like her little treat, oh, you have to face the wrath of Penny. That's what we call her, Penny. Her name's Penelope Blossom, and we call her Penny. I love Penny. She's a great dog. She is an absolute great, wonderful dog. She's a lug of a dog. she's a lug of a dog. She cracks me up so much. I could totally see her as part of the mystery gang. Anyhow, like I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to be talking about the SpongeBob SquarePants, like the dark story behind that. And then I'm going to investigate the Peter Pan one. I didn't really hear much on that one. I kind of swiped past that because it seems like there's a lot of creepypasta stories going on here lately, and I don't know. I do like to investigate creepypasta stories. I investigated the Slender Man one, and the two young ladies who did the Slender Man killings. What it was is Slender Man was a creepypasta story, and this girl said that Slender Man, she was doing it for Slender Man, that he wanted her to do it, and so she ended up not killing, luckily the person survived. Let me retract that and restate it. The person survived, but she got stabbed like 15 times. It was like a whole bunch of times. And this girl survived, but her supposed friend and one of the other supposed friends basically lured her out into a park or a secluded area and stabbed her like a whole bunch of times because they said Slender Man wanted them to do it. So yeah. I will try to go back and find where I talked about that, because it's on one of my old Belongs to the Shadows shows. I don't think it was on a podcast. I think it was on one of the actual shows. So yeah, like a lot of crazy stories come out of creepypasta, and you know, uh, yeah. But it seems like there's a lot of creepypasta stories going around, and I'm gonna do my best to research them and see what's what, and see if I can find a dark side, like a real dark side to the story, to the story of SpongeBob and Peter Pan. My phone was ringing. Spam. I have been getting spam phone calls left and right. Like, absolutely left and right. It's been running me crazy. And I keep blocking them, and I keep getting them. And they're calling for somebody named Alicia. And I'm like, I'm not Alicia. Got the wrong person. It's been running me nuts. Maybe I should talk about the dark side of spam calls. Anyhow, so yeah, I want to unravel the truth behind like these stories that are going around on the internet. I think I did a little bit of research on the SpongeBob SquarePants one, and I did kind of dive into it a little bit. And I think that it was like Bikini Bottom was based on something that was dark, but the story that's going around on the internet that seems like a creepypasta type story, I don't know how true that is. It seems very, very far fetched, but far-fetched stories have been true here and there, so we will see. I will talk about that next week on Belongs to the Shadows. I wasn't going to do a podcast this week because let's face it, like I can't even stand watching the news. I don't want to get political here because I don't like being political. I don't like talking about politics or any of that, but it's hard not to notice what's going on in the world right now, and it's hard not to be stressed out about it. It's like it's not right, and it's depressing me. It is making me really stressed out. It's making me have a lot of anxiety, and I think that it's doing that for a lot of people. So I had to take a social media break. I had to take a break from Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And I told my friends, I said, I need to meditate and I need to re-energize because what's going on right now and seeing it on the news every day is really depressing me and making me tired. So it's important. It's really important to do that every now and again, to unplug and rejuvenate, re-energize, meditate, do what you got to do to get back on a positive mental note, to get back into a positive groove of things. I've been doing a lot of artwork here lately, and I've been working on these shows. I do have a new channel. This will probably pop up on the new channel at some point. It's called Dark Glitter TV. And that name comes from the Dark Glitter Sessions, another show that I do about heavy metal music as well as any music, like any concerts that I've been to. I went to a Billy Idol concert. I went to his tour, and Kelsey Carter and the Heroines. I love Kelsey Carter and the Heroines. They're awesome. Were the opening act for Billy Idol, and so that was exciting, very exciting. I did talk about that concert. And then I went and saw, for my daughter's first concert, we went and saw Kelsey Carter again and Imogene and Alexa Villa. was there. They were the openers for Kelsey, so that was a really good show. I've been to quite a few concerts. I talked about the Trinity of Terror tour on one of the episodes, so the Dark Glitter Sessions is on my new channel, as well as this podcast belongs to the Shadows. I wanted to separate it from my old channel because I've been testing analytics on the new channel. And let's face it, I don't get very many listeners. I don't get very many views. Like I said before, I'm not in this for the money. I wish I could get paid to do what I love. I really wish. I'm an artist. I do paintings and artwork, and I've been doing that since I was like 6 years old. I have an art degree as well as a communications degree. So I've been doing all this for a very, very long time, and I haven't gotten anywheres with it. So obviously I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I have a passion for it. And I just think it's really interesting to research these stories. And I love haunted history. I love supernatural stories. I love all of that. Just absolutely love all that. One of my favorite things to do, because I'm a photographer, part of the media industry. I've been a photographer since I was really little. One of my favorite things to do is to go to Southern Gothic cemeteries and actually take photos. I love taking photos of like angel statues, and like the sculptures there are incredible. So yeah, you might see some of my work in these podcast episodes every now and again. I do display my work. I think my image on the YouTube channel, Dark Glitter Sessions, is an angel statue that I have taken a photo of from one of the Southern Gothic cemeteries in Georgia. But anyhow, I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. I know that there wasn't a whole lot to it, but I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that there was a story, a dark story going around about Scooby-Doo, and I wanted to debunk it because I love Scooby-Doo. I love him. He has made my heart happy, and that is a huge part of my childhood. So, not sponsored by Hanna-Barbera or Scooby-Doo, but hey, if anybody makes Scooby-Doo things and you want to send them to me, that would be awesome. I will review your products and put it in a podcast episode. If anybody wants to sponsor this show, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I never expect that. I never expect to make money off these shows. I never expect to get more than 3 listeners. Let's be honest. So I must really have a passion for doing these shows. Anyhow, until next time, you all stay creepy.
This place is seriously creepy.
I don't like this hallway.
Keep the flashlight steady. What was that noise?